right, let's dive into a story that has everything. High-stakes drama, a desperate midnight escape, and, believe it or not, a powerful prayer that came right out of it. We're going to break down one of the most intense moments in the life of the man who would become King David.
So this prayer is actually how our source material kicks things off. And it just perfectly sets the tone, doesn't it? This tells us right away, we're not just looking at some dry historical account. No, we're stepping right into a really raw human moment of fear and faith. It's a cry for help that has literally echoed through the ages.
So, you gotta be asking, how did it even get to this point? Well, it all kicked off with a pretty dangerous mix, success and envy. Let's get into our first section here and really unpack this king's all-consuming jealousy. And what's so wild about this is the tragic irony of it all. I mean, think about it. David is a national hero. He's just led Israel to this huge military victory. He's serving his king faithfully, and that very success is what flips the switch. It becomes the trigger for King Saul's paranoia and, eventually, his rage.
And this is the moment everything changes. David just playing the harp, trying to soothe the king, a peaceful moment, right? But Saul's jealousy just explodes. He hurls a spear at him. I mean, this isn't just some vague threat. This is a full-on lethal attack. Suddenly, for David, the palace isn't a home anymore. It's a trap, and he knows he has to run.
Okay, so let's see where this goes next, because just when things look their absolute worst, help comes from the last person you'd ever expect.
And that person is Jonathan. Now get this. Jonathan is King Saul's son. He's the heir to the throne. He had every single reason to see David as a rival, but he didn't. Instead of jealousy, he felt this incredibly deep loyalty to his friend. He literally valued David's character more than his own claim to power. That's a powerful choice, and it really makes you think, right? What's more important, your own ambition or doing the right thing?
And Jonathan doesn't just sit on this feeling of loyalty. He puts it into action. He goes and confronts his own father, the king, with this really brave, logical argument. You can see he hits him from all angles. He appeals to Saul's common sense, reminding him of everything David's done for Israel. Then he appeals to his conscience, pointing out that David is an innocent man. And finally, he appeals to his faith, reminding him that God was behind all of David's victories.
And you know what? For a minute, it actually works. Jonathan's words get through to him. Saul even swears this sacred oath before God that David won't be harmed. You can almost feel everyone just breathe this huge sigh of relief. But, as we're about to find out, this king's promises are about as stable as his temper. The peace isn't going to last.
Sure enough, that old jealousy comes roaring back, and this time it's even worse. And that brings us right to the heart of the action, a tense, life-or-death chase in the middle of the night. Just look at how fast this goes down. David flees to his home, probably thinking he's safe for the night. But nope, Saul's already sent soldiers. They surround the house. The order is clear. Kill him in the morning. His only shot is a desperate escape out a window, and he's going to need help from yet another surprising ally.
And here's the next big twist. Who helps him escape? It's Michal, David's wife, who also happens to be King Saul's daughter. I mean, talk about family drama. She chooses her husband over her father and comes up with this incredibly clever plan on the fly to buy David the time he needs to get away.
So what was this thing she put in the bed? The source tells us it was something called a teraphim, which was basically a kind of household idol. But here's the really fascinating part. Michal probably brought it with her from her father Saul's house. So she's literally using an object from the king's own home to defy the king's orders. The irony is just fantastic.
Okay, so David makes it out. He's escaped with his life, physically. But can you imagine what's going through his head? This is where the story pivots from all that external action to his internal turmoil. And it's in this moment that a famous prayer is born.
This part is just incredible to me. The source directly connects this whole escape story to the writing of Psalm 59. So think about that. This isn't just some beautiful poem written later. It's practically a real-time transcript of David's thoughts while he's hiding, listening to the soldiers outside his house who are there to kill him.
And you can just feel the raw desperation in these words, can't you? It's a direct plea to God, a raw, unfiltered cry for help from a man who was cornered and staring death right in the face. It's not fancy, it's just this gut-wrenching appeal for survival.
And listen to the language he uses. It's so visceral. He doesn't see soldiers. He sees a pack of dogs who foam at the mouth. He hears their threats not as words, but as swords in their lips.
This language just paints such a vivid picture of the sheer terror he's feeling.
But then, something shifts. Right in the middle of all that terror, David's focus pivots. He stops looking at his enemies and starts looking to God. He contrasts their snarling with the idea of God laughing at them, and he realizes his ultimate safety isn't in some physical hiding spot. It's in his faith. He calls God his strength, his fortress. It's a powerful change in perspective.
So think about it. If you're on the run and the king himself is hunting you, where do you go? David's next move is both smart and faithful, and honestly, it leads to a really bizarre and miraculous ending to this chase. He runs straight to the prophet Samuel. And you might ask, why there? Well, it was a two-part plan. First, it was a strategic gamble. He was betting that Saul still had enough respect for Samuel that he wouldn't dare attack him there. And second, he needed advice. He was completely lost and needed Samuel to help him figure out what God's plan was.
And this is where the story just goes off the rails in the best way possible. Saul, of course, sends more soldiers to capture David. But when they get there, something truly incredible happens. The Spirit of God just comes over them, and these soldiers, these would-be killers, they start prophesying. Their whole mission is just forgotten. They're stopped, not by a sword fight, but by a direct divine intervention. It's amazing.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Why does it matter? Well, our source material makes this really crucial point. This terrifying, life-threatening ordeal wasn't for nothing. All this time spent being hunted, fearing for his life, crying out to God, that was the very thing that forged David's character. It's what prepared him to be king and what made his faith so much deeper.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? We can look back and see so clearly that David's trials had this huge purpose. So it makes you wonder, when you're going through your own tough times, what strengths, what character, what new depths are being forged inside of you right now?